Hi, welcome back everybody to Two Coaches and One Couch. My name is Kathy O'Reilly. I'm a personal development coach, and you will follow me and find me on Kathy O'Reilly Coaching on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Hi, I'm Siobhan Walsh and I'm a life and recovery coach. Welcome back to episode 3. And this week we're going to speak about the dilemmas coming up to Christmas and some of the pressures that come with that. You can also follow me on Siobhan Walsh Coaching on Instagram and email siobhanwalshcoaching@gmail.com. So you're very welcome back. So Kathy, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Do you know, it is a tough time of the year. Now, it's a wonderful time of the year. I have to start off by saying it's a magnificent time of the year. It's magical and it's amazing, and it breaks up the winter. It's a beautiful time of the year for family and being together, but it does bring its tricky moments. And I'm going to share with you that I received a message from somebody recently that is just going through a bit of a tough time. And I think it's important to mention this because it's very, very common. Now, this lady that I'm speaking about, she's got a very, very demanding career. She's got young children. She's got a good marriage. They're happily married. She's got a very demanding elderly parent. And at this time of the year, she feels totally overwhelmed because it seems to ramp up everything that's expected of her during the year that she manages, and she actually kind of just about treads water with the times when it comes to this time of the year, because it's been such a celebratory time of the year. She feels the pressure to be everything to everybody. And I suppose the first thing I'm going to say here is that it's important to acknowledge that sometimes when we come from a family, and our family of origin will tell us a lot. For me, I work with my clients really around the beginning of their lives because I do believe in generational stuff. So for me, my client and my person that I'm speaking about that sent me this message, we are going to have to look at what was it like for you as a kid? Were you enough then? Did you do enough? Were they satisfied with you? Or did you always feel that there was more left in the tank for you to give? Was there always that extra bit that you didn't quite meet the expectations of your mother or usually the mother? So I suppose when we look at that, what we're looking at now is that no matter what she does, even though she's a very effective person, she still feels disaffected this time of the year because she never feels she's reaching where she needs to be to keep everybody happy. And in that place, it's difficult, it's overwhelming, it takes the joy out of Christmas because it's Christmas for her too, and it's a joyful time for her to celebrate, or free time from work and being with her family. But it just kills the joy and the crack, the fun that should be there for her too. So for me, I suppose working with her now as a coach, I would say to her that what can she do to step back? And we're going into this awareness piece. I know we've mentioned it in other podcasts, but it's about the awareness and about the stepping back and about realizing that no matter what she does at the end of the day, it's more than enough for the people that love her. It's more than enough. And sometimes she has to step in and ask herself, where did it begin? How is it that I don't feel as if I'm enough, even though I'm trying so hard? It still doesn't feel as if I'm reaching to the place where it's going to be enough for everybody.
I think this will resonate with so many people, Kathy, because it's such a pressurizing. It's like responsibility is all I'm hearing. How am I going to please everyone as well? Like how am I going to perform without not? If I don't, then I don't feel good enough, or like that responsibility piece. And the thing that I feel is like, when you mentioned the roles coming into in families, we all are assigned them, not by choice, but it's just how a family system kind of operates. And then they're reinforced as we grow. But the responsibility, and there's always the responsible one who that's how they show their love. But yet, if they don't reach it, it's like they keep needing to prove that I need to not fix, but like I need to have everything right in order to feel all right, and everyone's at this level of being happy and okay, now I can relax. And that's a huge responsibility. And do you want to go into so you mentioned that the father, did you mention that she's got a sick father?
She has a very demanding elderly father.
Okay.
Like, no matter, even though like her mother is dead now and she's gone, but like her father, she feels now is her responsibility. Now she's one of other siblings. This is the interesting thing, as you just mentioned there, Siobhan, which is an important point to bring up, that why is it that one member of the family feels the responsibility? Why is it that, because I often look at this and I say, you're not the only one, though. There are other people here. There's going to be your husband. There's going to be so many more people in your life that can take the weight and the responsibility from you. Why do you not delegate and leave them feel some part of what you're carrying here? Because sometimes what I find when I'm working with people is this starts at a very, very young age, where that's put on them very young, and they feel that sense of, it's only me, though. I'm the one that fixes everything. And then when it comes to this time of the year, this is when it starts to escalate and it just becomes way too much. I suppose really it's about knowing that she's not the only one here, that there are other siblings, that her father leans in because she's the one that jumps in. But maybe if she pulled back a little bit, and I know it's a difficult thing to do with an elderly parent, particularly when they're getting fragile and they're getting infirmed. But what about pulling back a little bit and maybe leaning out to another sibling and saying, you step in? Why does it always have to be just her? What feels the need to be the one all the time? Where did it start? Who put it on her the first day? Because she's carrying something there that has been, kind of, I suppose, ingrained very young.
It starts very, very young, like we'll go into it in more detail. I'm hearing again is like that response. It was obviously reinforced or rewarded to be, okay, I've done this and now I've got this. So therefore I keep playing this role until you come to a situation like you're speaking about where you're burning out and can't juggle all of the balls at once because it's not humanly possible. So in that situation, it's prioritizing what is a non-negotiable. So if she's got a family, she's got an elderly parent, work. I mean, there's so many things at play. What is like, and she probably might feel like all of them are a non-negotiable, but getting clear on really, like you said, maybe it's asking a sibling for help, even if that feels uncomfortable. But what is the dad the priority this Christmas? Or is the deadlines? Or is it spending time with his son? Or like whatever, and a husband, so that would be like prioritizing what is the actual non-negotiable.
I think what's important to mention here is that it gets to a certain point where it feels as if, for her, she feels as if it's just taken for granted now. She was able to do all these things and roll all the balls in the air at the same time. But at a certain point, it feels like I'm just doing it and nobody seems to appreciate that it's actually getting to me and I'm not able anymore. So it's about knowing, again, this has gone back to the awareness, and we've talked at length in different podcasts about what the body is telling you. The body is telling you that your nervous system has been affected now. All of a sudden, it's different. When you're at a certain point in your life, you can do an awful lot more. And then at another time in your life, the same things can be just too difficult to carry. So I suppose it's about her awareness in her body, what's happening for her, and then to be able to step out of it and to be able to say, just 1 minute now here, let me stand back and take that moment again, that wonderful, precious pause, and say, what can I do for me to survive this?
And having that boundary as well of like, there's obviously an expectation put on her because she feels responsible and that she has to, do it herself rather than ask for help. And maybe she doesn't know how. Having those tools that are available, but learning how to vocalize them, or, that it's not a failure asking for help. Whereas most people feel that, it's expected of me just to get on with it or to do it. Pressure, it's needed now. It's a different type of Christmas with, elderly people. The dynamics shifted just for this year, let's say. But
absolutely, 100%. I mean, look, when you think about it, really at the end of the day, like, I mean, I'm just imagining this person going to her husband and saying, can you do something to help me? And if he's not used to it, and if he hasn't been doing this up to now, he probably has a full list as well. It's about her knowing that she doesn't have to be all of it. It's about her knowing that she doesn't have to be all of it. And, again, being Christmas, and this is a Christmas kind of edition of our episodes that we're looking at, it ramps up. Everything is ramped up now. I mean, this commercialism, children are demanding, everybody wants more. We're getting all kinds of recipes about how to cook the turkey. The turkey, thousands times. We know the turkey. Turkey goes in the oven with a bit of stuff. It'll be grand. A few rashers thrown over him, it'll be lovely.
Yeah. And it's just one day. It's just
so much expectation that all of a sudden we are just being bombarded by perfection. And we just are not able to attain that level of perfection at any time. But this time of the year, we expected of ourselves to perform at a higher level. And we are already performing at a high level in life anyway.
yeah.
But it's about knowing that she's more than enough. in everything she's doing, you know.
It really is. And there's such pressure around, like you're saying, there's such pressure,
Yes.
for one day. And that it's one day and she deserves to enjoy it as well rather than so again, she's outsourcing her energy for everybody and there's nothing, and that's probably a not a routine, but a way of being that she's so familiar with. So it's again learning to how to reach out and ask for help. If she's siblings, maybe do a timetable, a schedule, look after dad, then I've got a work thing, I've got a son thing, I've got like it's all these roles emotionally that she's trying to fulfill. And she's a human. It's not, it's impossible to be everything to everybody without something at a cost. It costs somewhere, whether it's the son's not getting enough attention around Christmas or toys or family connections. It's something will take at some point because she's one person.
She is. And on the 26th of December and on the 27th of December, it really won't matter.
No.
And I often say that it's important too to step into the reality is it's all over. If you never sent a card and you didn't eat a turkey and they didn't get their presents and dad was okay as long as he was still alive. I mean, when it boils down to it, I'm being serious about it. And really, at the end of the day, you're only one person, one human, trying to sort them all out. And people, it just passes.
Yeah.
It's about taking that little bit of time to actually realize that it's okay. Everything is actually fine, you know. And that moment of that precious pause, the breathing, the staying with the body, and even just to sit back and take longer to have a shower, take longer to drink coffee, to do things slower, to slow down. Because I remember meeting a client actually in my room here one day. And as I'm sitting here, I'm looking out my window. And when she got out of the car, she nearly tripped over herself to get to the front door. And when she got to the front door and she got to the sitting room here, she was tripping over herself again to get in here. She's in a terrible hurry, like what's the pressure? And we looked at her life and actually what came up was, she was living with a very, very, very demanding husband. She was living in a position that like he had a very demanding career and she was always rushed to keep up with him behind him. So we looked at slowing down, just taking your steps one step slower, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. And that gives your body a chance to regulate, nervous system to regulate, and it gives you a chance to slow down your thoughts. So for me, it was like, here's my head, my arse is coming. Like she was in terrible hurt. Like there was no rush really with me. I was completely chilled in here waiting for her.
Yeah.
For her that day, for her to realize, we looked at it. Why does she do this? It was actually because of his demands in his career. The demands were falling back on her. She was getting the tail end of it, and she was always in a rush. So I suppose even just to say that to this particular woman today, if you're that woman out there, slow down, walk slowly, drink coffee slowly, you know, listen to your speech. Is it rapid? Is it speeded up? Is it sounding a bit loud? Slow it all down. Take a longer shower. They'll all be there. Nobody's going anyplace.
So such a great way of putting it, Kathy. And with that, I think just listening to you, it's like, who's expecting all this from you? Like, where is the pressure coming from? Because it might have worked at some point, but clearly now it's not working. So, what would happen if you just didn't do all of the things that are expected of you or you expect of yourself? And when something gives, what happens? It's going to be okay. It's still going to be okay. It might, like you say, it's one day of the year and what's important in that day is being with you, whatever is important to that person. But is it being with the family? Is it, the self-care part that you spoke about there is so important because what's that expression when you're on a flight, you put your own mask on before you can help other people. And that is huge. And it's not from a selfish standpoint, but you're more equipped and able then to be to do those things because you've really managed and, regulated yourself prior.
100%. It's a big one, really, isn't it? Just to stand back and allow that, because when you're anxious and you're overwhelmed, your head gets busy. You actually end up doing less. You do less because you get frazzled and you can't hardly remember things. Now, I remember there during the week I shared a video on receiving in the post a daily planner, which
Yes,
is
I
great.
saw you. Yeah, yeah.
They're great. I got them from Amazon. cheapest chips, 11 euros or something for a big bundle of them you tear off the sheet. And like just even to do that for, for now, for people that are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, get out your daily planner, put in your sheet what you're going to do, and tick a box as you're going through it. And if there's something at the end of the list that you haven't got to, push it on to the next page. There's always another day.
There's always another day. Doing that as well it's a real great benefit for some people, but it can still overwhelm because you're like, oh God, I've got so much to do. And like I said earlier, it would be prioritizing. So put it all down, what is important and what you think is you need to do. And you'll soon see that actually some of those aren't important. It's just on your mind and you're feeling like it has to be done. But you'll soon look and be like, oh, wasn't as important as I thought because it's not been done. And the important things will always be done. They'll always get done.
That's it. Like your three priorities in the morning, they're have tos. Whatever those have tos, there may not be any have tos, which is good if there isn't. But if there are have tos, there are three in the morning that must be done. And after that, then it's just filling in the sheet with things you'd like to do, things you could leave, and things you might want to do, whatever. But like the three priorities, and that gives you a bit more control over your day.
Yeah. And we love lists. Like I used to be the same. I'd be right. Even now I have a thing in my notes and I tick them and I get great satisfaction. But actually it's another form of like control, like we're trying to control everything. Okay, if I've done this now and that's done. And I laugh at myself because I'm like, look at you writing your list again. Back up. But there is
parking point this morning,
certain things.
60, because I didn't have it on the list. Now I was annoyed at myself because when I got the parking fine, I thought pay that now immediately because you'll forget it. And I didn't. And the next thing, lo and behold, I paid 20 euros more this morning because I didn't pay it. So lists are important.
They are. They
Yeah.
are. I know I am not disagreeing. I'm just saying that for someone who has quite a lot of overwhelm and, writing it down is hugely important, but not feeling the need to get everything done because you're only reinforcing that same feeling because you're seeing it in front of you now rather than it being in your mind like, oh God, I still have all of these things to do. It's again looking and being like, okay, what actually is important here? And do another thing, one thing at a time.
Absolutely.
One thing at a time. Because otherwise you're doing the thing and you think, oh God, I still have to do that. Put all your energy is scattered, it's everywhere. Focus on one thing at a time, whether that's, okay, I've got to mind my father for 2 hours, I'm there. Then I've got to go to my son's nativity play. Okay, now I'm there. Otherwise you're not present in any of it and you may as well not be attending anything,
There's the overwhelm then.
And that's the overwhelm.
Yeah.
Be in what you're doing as much as you can,
As much as you can.
Yeah.
We're a human first.
Yeah, it's true. And and people forget then like Christmas, it's what you make it, like there's so many people's expectations around Christmas are so big. And actually at the end of the day, you see people like I was in Duns yesterday. It's like what was that old program with the shoppy wacky races grabbing? It's like it's one day and the pressure that is on people, after an hour you finish dinner. That's it. It's no different really than any other day. And it's what you make it then. Is it about family time? Is it about connecting? It's all of these things and the pressure that comes with presents, getting the right food. You might have family visiting and, oh, I need to look a certain way. Bring it back to, I always say, bring it back to what you'd like as well. Like it's a connection.
Yeah, it is. Actually, this morning, just briefly there on my phone, I saw where Brendan O'Connor interviewed Tommy Tiernan this morning about. It was a great because I love Tommy Tiernan. I think he's an excellent interviewer and I love him anyway.
Yeah.
Talking about, like he said, it's just something missing. He said something wrong. I can't put my finger on it. And for him, he said that last year the 85 Tiernans arrived to the house and they left and they sang and all the elderly that arrived really thanked them, himself and his wife, for allowing them to meet each other and to be together. So you mentioned connection. Isn't that what it's all about, really, Christmas?
Yeah. And it's everything. I mean, I think it's everything, whether it be Christmas or a random Monday, but it can be lonely for people as well. So, it can be a really hard time of year from a pressure point of view or from being lonely in terms of not having those connections, so it's different for everyone, adverts and these, I mean, I do it myself. I picture Home Alone every year and I'm like, oh, I'd love, this kind of mad family and Jesus, we're mad in different ways, but like it's, I have a picture that's not real, like it's an imagined kind of what I'd love, and
Very
actually it's still a beautiful day, but you make it what you want, and that's Christmas. It's connections with having a laugh with your uncle, having, whatever it is for your family.
it's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, that's the beauty of it, really.
Mm,
And I think our next podcast, I'm going to just throw this in now, is going to be around active listening.
yes. Oh,
I think
yes.
that's going to be very interesting when
Mm.
now we're mentioning connection. And like I suppose as coaches, we would have been trained listeners. It's called trained listeners. And I suppose we'd love to share some active listening skills on our next podcast.
Being present with each other,
Yes.
being really, from being on your phone to someone cooking while you're talking, really good idea. And for the conflicts in family as well, so like,
We have to keep our secrets for our next
oh,
podcast.
yes, yeah, this is terrible now. I keep repeating myself.
No, but I mean, we are going to talk about active listening the
Yeah,
next time. So we
yeah,
want to keep it as a special one again, people.
yeah. What else can we talk about before for Christmas? Is there a specific, I mean, we've kind of just covered it, but I had a client now on Wednesday who said about the sibling and comparison. She doesn't have children and she's really happy with her life,
Mm.
but she comes home and sometimes feels that she's judged almost, like she's not where she feels that the family thinks she should be. Like I said to her, and this is something when you believe something to be true,
Mm.
or you agree with other people. So if you're going away feeling like, oh, there's a part of you that believes that you should be doing something else.
Before she goes home, she's almost preparing herself for the judgment, isn't she?
Mm,
She's almost in a position whereby she's expecting that when she gets there, they are going to be looking at me as if I'm the unmarried one. In actual
mm.
fact, I'm really happy. Would it be good for her then to make that statement earlier when she arrives about where she is in her life? Would that help? I'm wondering, because sometimes putting the voice behind that helps.
I think yes and no, because it's like we were saying before, in a family dynamic, we sometimes over explain to kind of validate, and I'm
Mm.
not walking away like, oh God, I need to go and find, I need to have kids. But it's the fact that she's not, that sense of belonging within the dynamic. That's what's probably hurting her most, because that feeling that she's not accepted because she doesn't have these children
Mm.
is what's bothering her, I think, because she's actually happy in her life. She's got a great career and she's an active social life. She has all of these things, but it's the feeling that of not feeling accepted, I think, by her parents leaving.
Mm. Mm. I suppose in the work then that would be done there, really from coming at it from the point of view of the coach or therapist, counselor, psychotherapist, anybody in the healing profession, we'll call it, that would look at that. I think you hit the nail on the head yourself when you said it. It's about her accepting her lot as she is.
Mm.
And then it doesn't really matter what they think, because there's the work that needs to be done there. Even though she's really happy, she says she is, but she still feels judged. She still feels uninvited to the table, really. She hasn't found her place at the table because she's different. She doesn't have children. She's not married. She's not fit into the groove. So I
Mm.
suppose it's about her coming to know herself just a little bit clearer as regard to where she is. And
Mm.
then it's easier to fit in and feel comfortable with where she is.
Yeah. Like I said to her, there's once you're confident in yourself, that feeling shouldn't be as strong. So that's why I'm saying there's a part of you that still believes that, do you want children? If this is the path that you'd like, of course it's going to hurt because you're surrounded then and this longing that I wish I had that. But because she's not actually feeling that, it's more the judgment piece and the acceptance piece from her family that's hurting her, that they view her as being different because she doesn't have this. So that's the feeling and the hurt that she's getting. And like you say, it's being okay in that when she's with them and having that confidence, being like, I don't need to explain myself. I'm, gonna be strong in the fact that, yeah, I don't have that and I'm okay with that,
Mm.
but I think it's just the judgment.
There might be a little bit of research to be done, a little bit of curiosity for her around her. Again, I always believe in the childhood. If
Mm.
she in the family system, like with the siblings, was she always seen a little bit different? What happened back there that she
Mm.
it's sort of it's beginning to feel more embodied in her now. Do you know? So I'm wondering, like, the curiosity around it for her to go back to the beginning of her life. What was it like being a child to those parents, being parented by those people, her parents? And what was it like being a sibling to the others? And how did she fit in? Where did she fit in the system? And that might give her a bit more clarity as well.
Yeah, yeah. I won't discuss too much, but yeah, you're right. For people listening that are in a similar dynamic, the that is a great point to have a look where it kind of started, where she kind of started to feel these, okay, I don't really fit in here, I'm not being accepted. Really good piece to mention that.
And also, sometimes when that comes up around the family of origin, it sort of peeps up every now and then in different areas of a person's life.
Mm.
If you don't kind of do that curious kind of journey of finding where to start and catching it and pulling it out and looking at it and saying, gotcha, that's where it started, that's who it was, how I was then. It can actually pop up different places. It bubbles up along the way. It's not just at Christmas. Now, Christmas is, again, we mentioned this is a Christmas episode. Everything gets heightened. But she probably will have found patterns in her year where it's popped up in different places of not fitting in, not feeling a bit judged. And if she goes back to the beginning, she'll find where it started. And that's the beginning of healing, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say she's quite aware, within her own way of being. But like all those things, you can do lots of different work, but there's still moments that it pops up, and it's again coming back to yourself and feeling, okay, this is that feeling, and detaching from the stories that have come from it, like you say, from where it began. But we all feel, I think everyone would feel, in their own dynamic, we all have an inherent role that we play. I still feel it sometimes. I'm like to my mom, like, Trish, back off in your own lane. And she's like, oh, but we have a giggle with it, but it's taken a long time to have that giggle. Everyone has a role, and everyone, if you have a family, that's just there's always going to be a dynamic, and it's how you respond now as that adult in that dynamic. Not necessarily explaining yourself, but it'll shift when you stop performing that role.
Absolutely, yeah. And stop wearing the mask and the hat and all that goes with that.
Yeah.
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 Our podcast has been
we're right on time.
coming to the end of our podcast. So I'd like to say before we go that it's our joy, it's our pleasure. We love being two coaches and one coach. And we've always said it, and we've said it again, that we have emails, cathyoreillycoaching@gmail.com, and Siobhan.
siobhanwalshcoaching@gmail.com, and then siobhanwalshcoaching on Instagram.
Something we can actually share it, and we can never ever mention, of course. It's always going to be, there's going to be, your privacy in this.
I must say it.
It's going to be anonymous. So we'll be able to give you a little bit of an insight from the coaching perspective of how we might look at it. Chats are great.
Chats are great. So we will be back. It's going to be weekly. So we're going to be back next week, and we're going to be discussing active listening. And just a little, I would say, coming from myself, is if you are feeling that pressure coming up to Christmas, just take a moment to prioritize your own needs, and then, and enjoy it. Like, Christmas is can be a wonderful time, take what you can with what you've got,
100%.
Do you want to sing us a Christmas song?
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Oh, what about Mariah?
Oh,
from now.
Respect to the cause, Siobhan Walsh.
Go on, listen. Thank you so much, Kathy, and we will be back again next week.
Right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.